I welcome you to my another video review. You may remember my review on Oukitel WP35, and rest assured this review is gonna be even more in-depth and even more systematic. Forget these strangely narrated videos that only show some tablet features like if it was a TV commercial. This is the true review you wanted. Now about my relations with Ulefone. I have previously tested and reviewed the Power Armor 14 Pro and Power Armor 19T, but these reviews are only available in Czech language on my main Czech channel. But for this tablet, I have decided on recording an English video too. As all Ulefone devices, even this one, I have received from Ulefone for free for review. I do not have to return it, and I am only required to record a review. That's all. There is no money involved, no bribing, no sales affiliate, and Ulefone has never wanted me to say something particular or not to say something particular, so my hands are completely free. Since this tablet review, I have also decided to make a new Excel table for parameters, and this table, as you can see here, is available for download in the video description, and parts of the table are also gonna be shown in the respective chapters. Talking about chapters, this video is of course divided into them, so it's gonna be better organized for you to jump wherever you want, whenever it's necessary. But first, let's talk about my personal experience. The Power Armor 14 Pro is a low-end budget phone they sent me as a first one. A MediaTek Helio G85 chipset is weaker, so the phone is only good for light loads, including everyday use. But the battery is big enough for the phone to serve for hours, doing something very useful, which I use this phone for. For example, if I hike somewhere, then I have my primary Sony Xperia 1V that is currently recording as a main phone, and I mostly take photos with it or videos or something like that. Then my secondary phone, Ulefone PA19T, I use as running GPS navigation, and the Power Armor 14 Pro has GPS tracking and logging running, because my Amazfit T-Rex watches, they are quite shitty. I also use this phone as a radio, sort of. Few times a year I organize an event with between 10 to 18 people, and Power Armor 14 Pro is the perfect music phone. I always load it with offline music. It's gigabytes, tens of gigabytes of offline music, and then I use the 3.5mm jack. It's, oh, my fingernail. And this jack I connect to my DIY speakers, and it serves as a music player. I only need to charge it once every 2 or 3 days, so it's a great music player. And during testing of 203 headlamps and flashlights, this phone was serving as a stopwatch. The Power Armor 19T is my everyday carry phone. I carry my Xperia and my 19T with displays facing themselves in the pocket. I take it out of my pocket very often. For example, if I take some photos of switchboards, then it's better to shoot them at 108 megapixel than only the funny 12 megapixel which Xperia takes. I mean, Sony is the pinnacle of photography with its Sony Alpha and everything, and you can't shoot photos bigger than 12 megapixel. I also use this phone as thermal camera. Of course, I have a Hikmicro B20 as my main thermal camera, which is much better thermal camera compared to this FLIR, but one doesn't carry such a camera everywhere. And there is some unforeseen circumstances where you are just glad that you have a basic but functional thermal camera in your pocket all the time. The resolution may be just 160 to 120 with low FPS, it's like a GIF, but it definitely is enough for most unexpected jobs or problems. Moreover, it can record thermal video with audio commentary or thermal GIF with audio commentary. I also use this phone as GPS navigation. Just slide it into Brodit phone holder. Brodit is very high quality holders from Sweden, I believe. And I must say that Brodit is something great. and the phone keeps navigating you for hours and hours until the battery dies. For when I want to drive over 500 kilometers, I just connect it to my PD charger, and the phone usually likes to select PPS profile 9.2 volts and 3 amps, which is the same profile as this one uses, and it charges pretty quickly, usually within 2 hours. Other than that, I charge it every day. I just place it on my QI charger before I go to bed, and that's all. In the morning, it's at 100%. Sometimes, because I have Accu battery, great application, I have set it to alarm at 90%, and if it manages to wake me up, I then just slide the phone off the QI charger and it's at 90% to conserve the battery. I think that Ulefone could really make the function in their phones and tablets that the battery would be charged to only selected percentage. So for example, you would select to save your battery and that it would stop charging at 90% or 85% or 80%, something between this. If you could select that, that would be great, because not charging to 100% really saves the battery health. The last 20% of the battery, the 80 to 100, have the biggest influence on battery health and battery lifetime. So if Ulefone would do that, that would be very great. It would be one of the few companies that do this. The only problem of this phone is videos. You just can't record videos with it. If you would record a video, you would vomit immediately. But for literally anything else, it's a great phone, and I really like it. Now, Ulefone Tab A11 Pro. My grandpa has been using his Lenovo Yoga Tab 310-inch for quite a while, but the battery has given up and the old Android 6 doesn't work online very well because of certificates already running out. So my grandpa wanted me to choose a new tablet for him. Because my grandpa, he is a former musician, he was in a band, then I have gifted him once with budget studio-like headphones. These are Audio-Technica ATH M30X, which is like entry-level studio-grade headphones. So my grandpa needed a tablet with 3.5mm jack. Knowing about the consistency of Ulefone regarding 3.5mm jacks and SD cards, I looked into Ulefone tablets, and after some time I chose Ulefone Tab A11 Pro plus original Ulefone flip case. And I chose well because we have then found out that it also has 4 stereo speakers, and camera quality, well, it's tabletish. We all know how tablets shoot photos. Yeah, it's tabletish quality. The chipset there is MediaTek Helio G99, and it's surely gonna survive for a few years of standard use before lagging. Needless to say that my grandpa is quite happy with the tablet, but he misses the smart tilt stand which Lenovo had. This is a different model, this is my tablet, and he misses this. This is great function, but since Lenovo has it patented and their tablets shall be avoided and phones also at all costs, then this is just a price you have to pay if you want a real functional tablet. And finally, the topic of this video, my experience with Ulefone AP4UT, because I'm not gonna keep saying the full name of it, it's quite long. I'm gonna begin with my experience because that's what matters the most. And for all you technical nerds, all the specifications and measured data, 99% of which I have gathered by myself, are going to be shown later in this video. My personal advice is to buy this tablet alongside with the charging dock and with the rotary holder slash stand called hand strap. That's because a tablet must be able to stand on a desk and must be held comfortably in hand under any circumstances. Personally, I mostly use the charging dock even when I actually do not plan on charging the tablet. In the dock, the tablet is standing more upright, like that, and is more stable compared to the hand strap. You can't roll it over. Oh. It's stable like Windows XP, so great. I use it in my garage so I can listen to some videos as a background noise when doing something. Thanks to stereo speakers that are on the sides, the sound floods my garage, so anywhere I go in the room, in the garage, in kitchen, anywhere, I can hear the tablet loud and clear. Well, unless I turn on my angle grinder or a welding machine, of course. Looking at the tablet ruggedness, it fits in the garage environment pretty well. But not only that, because when man works, he gets hungry. Having the ability to split screen, which can be done by from running apps, I'm gonna show you. You do this, you click, split screen. Is the function in Android. It was first supported in 2017 in Android 6 back then, although it was not fully implemented, and since then Google has really worked on this functionality. So I usually split screen and I have like YouTube and some recipe on the screen at the same time, and I'm cooking with this. So great, not for garage, but even for kitchen. The versatility of this tablet doesn't find an end yet, as with 853 grams, it can still be comfortably held in one hand for quite some time, enabling user to read some ebooks or to browse the net, to write messages, although this requires you to split your keyboard, which SwiftKey can do, and it takes some getting used to because this is big as hell, but you can get used to it, definitely. The hand strap allows user to go anywhere, literally anywhere, with his tablet on his hand, and it is great. I mean, look. Yes, it's rotatable. You can have it on portrait, on landscape, or portrait, or landscape. It holds very well, as you can see. Fall already. It won't fall. It will not ever fall. Boom, 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 boom. It won't fall. Great. Unfortunately, if you wanted to have this tablet as a Pip-Boy, there is no option for that. Because Ulefone doesn't really have any holders on your arm. So you can't be that Fallout guy with Pip-Boy and everything just like that. That's the only unfortunate thing. But if you don't use it as a Pip-Boy, then great. For example, when I was running car diagnostics in one problematic French car, why I said problematic in French, these are synonyms. The tablet was much easier to work with compared to my smartphone, because I had the tablet on my hand like that, and I was just like blim, 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 censor this, this error, delete, yeah. And I had free hands, or free one hand, yeah, and it was great, because I didn't have to think about the tablet, where would I put it? It's great. The usability also expands to the industry. As I am industrial electrician myself, I can use such a tablet to look at projects, CAD drawings, or have some pinouts displayed while wiring a switchboard. Now the hand strap comes to the show, as it is less prone to uneven surfaces and can serve as a stand too. The tablet lies more like, yeah, with this angle. It's like 45 degrees. And it's just a different angle compared to the charging dock, which is slightly like that. The tablet can also be used for some sketches. I would recommend App Ibis Paint, as it is smoother than Autodesk. The tablet unfortunately doesn't really support active stylus, but in the settings there is a great feature called Gloves Mode, which enhances the digitizer sensitivity, so the digitizer would register the active stylus tip quite well. Unfortunately, it leaves some traces on the screen cover, which is a foil. It's a plastic foil installed from the factory. Great thing to have screen protection installed from the factory. Even if it's not glass, if it's foil, it's still better than nothing. And it leaves traces, but they can be easily polished / removed with rubber, so it's okay. What I originally thought would be useless feature, but I actually ended up using it quite often, is the flashlight capability. Most phones and just few tablets have the camera flash. This tablet actually has dedicated camera flash, so it has 2 flashes, but this tablet has a trick up its sleeve, and that would be this big chunk COB LED. Let me decrease the brightness a little so that the camera wouldn't be blinded. The brightness is adjustable in 3 steps, and I measured them to be approximately, not accurately, because I can't fit this odd shape in my integration sphere. So approximately 80 lumens, no, 370 lumens, 840 lumens. To be honest, the maximum brightness is already bright too much, and the medium mode is the one I use most often. But if you turn it on high, you can easily navigate yourself in complete full darkness, even on your garden. Let me show you. Tak, úplně super. Ty brďo. Jako to je mazec. Tamhle jsou panely. To je úplně super tohleto. Teďka jsem tady zrovna řezal dříví, aby se tady vešel favorit. Hranatej. Protože jsem musel vyklidit garáž pronajatou, tak ho musí rozjíbet venku. No. To je super, jako. Vidím úplně krásně. Stejně jako v tom videu, no. Ty brdě. To je něco. To je tablet na vynášení bioodpadu. Takhle má trošku uší field of view. Au. Jako tohoto osvítí ten sám tablet. Já nevím, jestli to bude teďka vypnout. Nepůjde. Tak to schválně zkusím zastínit. Aha, stíní mi foťák. No, nedá se nic dělat. Jo, ale prostě jako tohle je mazec. To úplně krásně osvítí, jako kdyby s tím svítil na strop, tak půlku garáže, no, celou garáž na orientaci a půlku garáže je na nějaký, jakoby, řekněme, lehčí práce to osvítí, což je úplně jako super, jo. Já vím, mám tady mrdník. In the Czech Republic, the Ulefone Armor Pad 4 Ultra without the thermal camera costs approximately $450, including 21% tax. This version with thermal camera, the Ulefone Armor Pad 4 Ultra Thermo, what a name, costs $510, including 21% tax. Keep in mind that the prices will vary depending on where you live and depending on quality of your official Ulefone distributors. The current operating system is Android 14. You may say that Android 15 is the most recent and it should have the newest one, of course, but actually I think that the Android 15 is a downgrade, as it has prevented the apps from direct access to some hardware. For example, the digital to analog converter or sound card. Since Android 15, apps have to rely on Audio API, which is not 100% functional. I do not like to see the Android coming closer to iOS. Android is here because there is some people who want something more and something more open and more mighty than iOS. Yet the Android implements many problematic features from iOS. I don't get it. Google should rather focus on finally solving the long problems of MTP protocol implementation or the long problems of data transfers from a pen drive being slow as heck, or finally making Wi-Fi Direct work in Android devices. And Android should be the open alternative where you get the things done. So yeah, the older Android 14 is actually a plus. The newest security patch is 5th of September 2024, and Ulefone has made one adjustment in the system, because since Android 14 there is this trend, which is also present in Windows 11, that they want to discomfort you from using the system. For example, in Windows 11 everything is accessed or behind one more click with your mouse. It's one click more, and so it is in Android 14. Fortunately, Ulefone has really solved this. So if you click on the Wi-Fi, you turn it on or you turn it off. That's it. That's how it should be. In the normal Android 14 devices, if you click here, then it opens a pop-up window where you can select Wi-Fi or data. But Ulefone has thought about it And they thought to themselves, well, it's much better to have it the old way, as it is just click to turn on or click to turn off. It's much better. The construction of this tablet is rather rugged, with rubber perimeter and nice overhang over the display and all around. The tablet is supposed to be waterproof, which I have tested only slightly. It should also withstand some freezing, so I froze the tablet down to -19 degrees Celsius and then ran a benchmark. The display was very slow responding. The liquid crystals weren't liquid anymore, but the system worked flawlessly. As it is normal with Ulefone, we also get one programmable button. I always set these to short click for camera, double click for flashlight, and long press for screenshot. There is also one more button, which controls the camping light. Just unlock your tablet and hold the button. Camping light is gonna turn on. It's like a quick access to the camping light app, which is otherwise available in the apps menu. It also allows you for some timeout, which is great, because such a powerful flashlight sure takes some energy. The upper part then hosts microphones, maybe some of them is barometer, I don't know, and recess for hand strap with kickstand. That is this one. Yeah. On the right side, we got volume up, come on, focus, volume down, and power button with integrated fingerprint sensor. Some people may be used to some different buttons placement and arrangement, but believe me, the tablets have always been having the buttons placement very problematic. This placement is great for landscape mode, but in portrait mode one can turn off the screen with his belly quite easily. If it was on the top, then it would be out of reach in landscape mode, and holding it in one hand in portrait mode would cause some accidental button presses. So there is no perfect buttons arrangement for a tablet. So you either get used to it or you don't, but this one has actually the lowest amount of shortcomings, I would say. The protective dust and water cover that is done the way that I actually prefer, as it is on a shaft, a rotary shaft, which I consider to be more waterproof compared to rubber hinge doors. So this cover hides USB 2.0 Type-C and also 3.5mm jack for your high quality headphones. I really like the Ulefone's consistency and approach towards customers. Well, to be honest, the removal of 3.5mm jacks was enough for a reason for me to abandon Asus phones and instead buy a flagship Sony phone. Ulefone, just like Sony, keeps putting 3.5mm jacks in their devices, which is good for customers. And the last thing is right channel speaker. The bottom placed gizmos include docking connector for docking station. Please keep in mind that when the tablet is in dock, you cannot use the USB-C connector, which also applies to the U-Smart connector to the left. The Ulefone U-Smart is like a rugged USB. If you would plug in some USB accessories and your tablet or phone should fall, well, it's not gonna be fun, because the connector in the attached device would be destroyed for sure, and the USB connector in the expensive tablet would be damaged probably too. Having two expensive devices destroyed just because of one accidental fall, that is very unfortunate. So Ulefone came up with this U-Smart connector, for which Ulefone offers some attachments like endoscopes, microscope and such things. Using U-Smart, should your device fall, it's gonna survive for almost sure. Fortunately, Ulefone has been quite consistent with the U-Smart, as it has been used in a few devices already, as we can see here. So it seems like they are gonna keep it. And trust me, such a big screen tablet paired with an endoscope, that's a must for every car mechanic. Let's actually test it. Yeah. It's quite hard to bend wire, and it keeps holding the shape, which is good actually for endoscopes, because you need to shape them somehow and then put them in somewhere. This endoscope camera is quite interesting. You'll see that in short. So there is this hinge Just put it like that and then screw in the bolt. That's it. Now it should ask us whether we want to turn on the app or the app turns on automatically. Okay, so this is what the endoscope sees. That's me. That's me. This camera also has the ability to turn on the LED light, but then the camera gets quite hot after a very short time. And also the endoscopes usually have one problem, as you see perfectly what's before you, but you don't see to the sides, which they have solved with a side camera. So we switch from the front camera, this one, to the side camera with button click. Click. And now the side camera is switched and we are looking from the side. So you can see all around a pipe or anything, just anything. So this is really smart, and I think that using the quality is, well, endoscopic. So this endoscope can really be used for some narrow areas in a car, for example, car mechanics. Perfect use for this. And having such a camera with a huge screen, with a huge tablet, that's definite plus. Because usually endoscopes have like very small screen, very small. And this is more than 10-inch screen, so yeah. To the left we have left channel speaker, and this aluminum part was originally supposed to be HDMI, but the production model doesn't have the HDMI capability, so there must have been some problems implementing the HDMI. And above there is the dust cap / water cap, and this time it hides card drawer. But if we take it out, and I am gonna use some flat pliers. If we take this tray out, or drawer, so it supports one micro SD card and simultaneously 2 SIM cards. So yeah, 3 cards in the device at once. Finally, someone has done this. Great job, Ulefone. And the smartness doesn't end yet, cause someone in the development team has decided that they should mark the display side. Because I don't even know how many times was I left with a tray and thinking, which side does it go in? Is it like this or like that? I don't remember. So should I insert it like that and possibly damage my phone or tablet? Oh, not here, because they were actually smart and they wrote here is the screen side. So this side with the SD card goes to the screen. How smart! I haven't seen this in any phones or any tablets yet. What a smart decision. Good job. Let's move forward to the back. The predecessor has the camping light on both sides, but this model has it only here, which is a better solution, cause when in landscape I very often hold the tablet like this, and I hold it with my rear fingers by this island. If this island had a light, I would just keep shading it, and my hand could burn. So good upgrade. The upgrade is that they made it smaller. That's the upgrade. Here we got another, already third, contact piano, and this time it's supposed to transfer music to loudspeaker attachment called SoundKit. I have personally written to Ulefone that they do not have to send me the SoundKit, and I sort of do not regret. The integrated speakers are already loud enough, but well, in the garage the loudspeaker may have been a better solution, mainly for music richness, which usually gets lost with integrated speakers. So if you would plan on using the tablet as a radio more often, you may think about the SoundKit as well. Behind this glossy plastic that is very easy to get dirty hides NFC antenna. Unfortunately, there is no QI wireless charging here, but the charging dock, the perfect charging dock, just makes up for it pretty fine, and I don't miss the QI because the charging dock is maybe even better than the QI, to be honest. Then we have here the standard camera, quality of which we are gonna see, and the thermal version also has this thermal view camera with competitive parameters even to some basic handheld thermal cameras, the pistol ones. And the redundant camera flash. Well, this is one of the few tablets with camera flash. It really cannot compete against the camping light, which can be used simultaneously with camera. These 4 bolts are used for hand strap that we get by default in the package. But I have found the hand strap. It's always, come on, open. Yeah, I hate this. I hate opening these boxes. Yeah. We get this hand strap by default, but I have found the hand strap to be not that comfortable, and as it interferes with just any other attachment, I just gladly dismounted it and use the much better rotary hand strap with stand, which is much better. The weight of the tablet is 853 grams, which is heavier than most tablets, but I still find it easy to use when the tablet is held in one hand. Just like this in landscape, or like that in portrait. Or just carry it around or have it in my palm for prolonged periods of time without any discomfort. I got used to this tablet very quickly, and since then, when I take in hand any other tablet, it feels like a flimsy cardboard. So yeah, don't be scared of the weight and don't be scared of the thickness. It's still easy to carry around and you are going to get used to it very fine. The last main parameter is battery. Tablets usually range between 6.5 to 10 amp hours. This tablet has 11.8 amp hours, and I must say it's notable. The predecessor had 33 amp hours, and I can't even imagine if I would be able to operate the tablet one-handed, as it had 1.2 kilo. And as I am actually right now testing a tablet with such weight, I am glad for the 11.8 amp hours battery in the Ulefone AP4UT. The battery lasts longer than any other regular tablet, and I charge it every approximately 3 to 5 days. So the battery capacity is actually, I would say, very optimal. The heart on the motherboard is MediaTek Dimensity 6300. Being a lower middle class chipset, I would rather like to see some higher end, like Dimensity 7000 or 8000 series, but considering the functions plus price of this tablet, which is quite low, approximately $500 and less, including the tax, the 6300 makes sense. The Dimensity 6000 series is a refresh of Dimensity 700 series, and these were built on the cores from Helio G99, just with a different radio, which now supports 5G instead of 4G support in Helio G99. The computational cores and the graphics units are very similar, if not the same, and just running at different speeds based on the silicon lottery. The silicon lottery is commonly seen in any high-speed processors, including desktop ones, as the manufacturing process is so demanding that each processor is made slightly differently due to mainly impurities or like local lower silicon quality or something like that. The quality of the processor is then determined by the machine in the production line, and it sorts them based on the quality. The higher quality processors, they get higher designations, like Dimensity 6300, or in computers, AMD processors is the X. So, for example, my old processor Ryzen 5 2600X or my current processor Ryzen 9 5900X. The lower quality processors, they get lower designations, like Dimensity 6020, 6080 or 6100. The lower quality CPUs are running at lower speeds because they would be unstable at higher speeds or they would demand significant amount of energy, which is not worth it. Some manufacturers even used to sort between the bad CPUs, and they would then disable like 2 worst cores if the rest of the cores is fine, and the CPU would then be sold as a lower core count model. So this is the silicon game explained. The Dimensity 6300 is the best quality chipset from the batch. So while it's physically the same as 6020 or 6080 or anything like that, it runs at higher clock speed, enhancing performance, and it also wastes less energy as heat. It's more battery efficient. And I, as a Qualcomm Snapdragon guy who has been running highest-end Snapdragons for already 10 years, I must say that living with Dimensity 6300 in the tablet, or pretty much the same processor in Helio G99 in Ulefone PA19T, is fine, as long as you don't want to play the newest and best graphic games, and I don't play games on phones, or as long as you don't want to play back 4K videos. These chipsets may not run as smooth as higher-end ones, but are fine for everyday use, definitely. And they are going to be fine for next few years for sure. The graphics chip is the same between Helio G99 to Dimensity 6300. It's the dual-core Mali G57 MC2 that supports OpenGL ES 3.2 and Vulkan 1.3. The operating memory, which is here, or RAM, allows us to run multiple apps at once, or allows us to run a demanding app like a game, for example. As today is in 2025, I would consider the comfortable minimum to be 6 GB. You can then easily use 2 apps. For example, you can write an email and be constantly switching between a PDF document you take some data from and the email app you write the data into. With 6 gigs, I wouldn't really count with more than 2 apps. This tablet has 8 GB, which is enough to run 3 apps at once. But Android is slightly dumb in this department, and it really likes to kill apps while it's not necessary yet. But if you keep switching between the 3 apps constantly, it's not gonna kill them, and they are going to be running in the background. These 8 gigs also really allow you to run any apps in split screen mode. Even the RAM-heavy apps wouldn't cause any problems. Split screen, I have it in check. Split screen, and I could split screen with this app. So now I have Def Check and Accu Battery Pro. Great! I can use them both at once. That's great. So it's like the old games, these old multiplayers where you had like split screen and one player was playing with WASD and second player was using the arrows. Look at this. I can use 2 hands and 2 people can operate the tablet at the same time. It's complete multi-user tablet. That's great. If you would encounter some problems, which is unlikely, the Ulefone allows you to enable virtual RAM in settings. It requires a restart, and it's here, memory expansion. The virtual RAM is a partition created in the internal storage memory, the long storage, where your files are, your photos, your PDF files, your videos. And then the virtual memory partition created acts as a storage for apps that are sort of put aside. Mainly, those are the least active apps. This is because the internal memory is always slower compared to RAM, and unfortunately, it gets damaged. Storage memories have a finite number of data writes and wear out their memory cells. After some terabytes written, the memory cells would eventually begin to die. Both Android and Windows systems are fortunately very smart, and they know that virtual memory is to be filled with less active apps or less active programs. But still, it represents some damage. For example, when rendering my videos, my YouTube videos in Vegas Pro 21, the program likes to take hundreds of gigabytes of RAM, so I have enabled 400 gigs of virtual memory that is placed on my both Samsung SSDs. I am not happy about it, but it's better than a failed render. Same applies for virtual RAM in this tablet. Enable it only if you really desperately need it. And I think it's great they have given you this option. Use it only in case of desperate need, but it's here and can be turned on. Talking about the storage memory we want to spare, here we got 256 gigabytes, which should be enough for some films, few series of your favorite serials, plus few hours of some high-res music. If you would use H.265 for video files and FLAC for audio files, chances are you aren't even gonna need a micro SD card. But the option for the micro SD card is here. And should the need arise, you can use it. And Ulefone has actually come further since the last time, as now the Ulefone tablet supports also exFAT or FAT64 file system, which enables you to store files larger than 4 GB compared to obsolete FAT32. So this is a step up in the case of Ulefone, and I like that. The display is one of the main domains of just any tablet. And I like how these numbers are well rounded. It's easy to remember. It's the largest part of the tablets. So here we got slightly above 10 inches, but the tablet is quite large for a 10-inch tablet, as we got here a thick frame, which may not be that aesthetic, and it is actually quite ugly, but it serves well against accidental presses with the muscle of your thumb. My thumb is quite massive. That's what she said, and you can see that I don't press on the screen with my thumb. So yeah, that's because of this, and only and solely because of this. So I wouldn't be touching my thumb in here. The LCD panel is standard IPS, which may have slightly worse saturated colors compared to other high-quality IPS panels, but at least the colors are consistent, and the colors are well up to other competitive IPS panels in normal priced devices. The maximum brightness is 472 lux measured at the glass with the protective foil on. The 472 lux is somehow average number, and it's enough for most use cases, but if it had like 600, that would be even better for working at direct sunlight, etc. That would, however, also compromise battery runtime, of course. Sound is yet another domain of tablets, as you may have a tablet with all the fancy stuff like thermal camera or camping light or high durability, but it's still a tablet, and a tablet is just destined to play some multimedia files sooner or later. For movies, I really adore front-facing stereo speakers, like in my old HTC One M9, or in my almost non-functional Lenovo Yoga Tab 3 Pro, or in my current Sony Xperia 1V. Front-facing stereo is great for when you watch some stuff directly and alone. The sides-facing speakers are, however, better if you want to spill the sound across the entire room, as it is omnidirectional. When listening to something while you keep walking across a room, or when watching a movie with some friends, it's a better solution. But when watching a movie alone, the channels would mix and you have almost like mono sound. This can be easily solved by reflecting the sound wave from some solid objects you would put by the sides of the tablet. It's very easy to make the sound front facing from sides facing, and I promise you will hear the stereo. And if you are more into some high quality audio, then you can enjoy, for example, Metallica or Pink Floyd in high resolution. Ulefone has prepared for us the 3.5mm jack. Good old mighty 3.5 jack. If you want some cheap high quality studio headphones, the Audio-Technica MTH series are great, and this is ATH M50X, and it's the best money can buy. M50X are widely used in filmmaking and music industry as monitor headphones, and they provide very flat and honest sound. Highs are carefully clear and precise, mids are well recognized and accurate, and bass is very colorful and rich of that fatty, tasty gravy sauce you get from meat. That's the description of the ATH M50X. I have two of them, and I must say that they really need some burning in. To be honest, the first 2 days of burning in were absolute nightmare sound, and I was shaking and hoping for further quality increase with burning in. After 10 days of Ulefone Power Armor 14 Pro playing non-stop in these headphones, my metal playlist, I was finally happy with the sound quality, as the new ones sounded exactly the same as the 6-year-old ones that are already falling apart a little. Listening to some high quality music, I listen before sleep, like Metallica in 192 kHz or Pink Floyd in 384 kHz. I'm confident to say that the Ulefone AP4UT sounds pretty fine, but the bass are somehow flat and in grayscale, so they may require some equalizer gain increase. In the mid frequencies are very fine, and the highs, they may have slightly too much clarity. They are maybe too sharp, so I would attenuate the absolutely highest one slightly in the equalizer. The sound output should then be more flat and more accurate. This applies only if you listen to high quality audio via 3.5mm jack. If you would listen to some low quality music like every streaming service or some CD quality, or listening from wireless headphones, you wouldn't notice much of these things, so just forget about it and leave the equalizer flat. As most tablets, this one too doesn't support QI charging, the wireless one, but the lack of it is not significant at all, as the charging dock is already the perfect solution for charging, at least for me, as I almost exclusively charge the tablet in this docking station. In this station, the tablet always charges at 10 watt pace, no more. This input, the 10 watts, tops up the battery from 0 to 100 within approximately 5 hours. But as I usually put it on charge at 35 or so, and charge it up to 90 or 85 is just approximately 3 hours. The speed of course decreases when using the tablet, mainly at highest screen brightness, which is right now. This slow speed doesn't represent a problem at all, as the 11.8 amp-hour battery will last entire day under almost any circumstances, unless you are running it all the time at the highest brightness. So you can always put it in dock before you go to sleep, and the slow charging speed is also good for the battery health, ensuring longer lifespan, and in the morning you just take it out and it's full. There is one quirk. This dock, you can see there is also output. The dock also has USB-A output. So if you have like a single port charger that you used for your phone by your bedside, this is the solution. You can charge your tablet from the charger and your phone from the dock output. For this functionality, I would recommend getting a more powerful charger so the power can be delivered. The dock actually prefers to switch to 20 volts using USB power delivery protocol. It can't use quick charge or anything else. Most probably it's for lower losses in the cable and for better ability to provide sufficient power to both tablet and anything in the USB output. If you won't want to charge the tablet faster than 10 watts, which is very slow, there is such an option. The provided charger and cable is quite universal in its PDOs and supported protocols, out of which the tablet supports USB power delivery in PPS mode, which would be approximately 9.2 volts depending on your cable at 3 amperes. But the voltage depends also on the battery charge state, so it is normal with PPS that it would be like between 8.5 volts up to 10 volts approximately. Shall your charger be older and without PPS support or just weaker, the tablet would resort to baseline PDO0 at 5 volts 2 amps, so the ordinary 10 watts as we get from the charging dock. This also happens if you would use an old USB-A charger, then it's 5 volts and just 1.5 amps. Through the basic DCP protocol. There is no support for quick charge or pump express or anything like that. Well, 5 years ago this would be unfortunate, but today in 2025 everyone already runs power delivery chargers, so it doesn't really matter. Everyone uses power delivery. This PPS profile I just mentioned of at least 11 volts and 3 amps is fortunately supported by most chargers with like 33 watts, 60, 65, 66, 68, 100 or 140 volts. So any more powerful newer charger can charge the tablet at full speed, approximately 25 to 33 watts. circa. The 3 amps mean that you can use just any USB-C cable. The original supplied cable is able to handle 3 amperes just okay, but if one cable would not be enough for you, then you can buy some more. If you want some budget-friendly, good quality cables, then it's brands like BaseUs, Ugreen, Essager or Rokoren. If you really want to cheap out, then Totsky and Uslion. Stay clear from flimsy no-name or just randomly branded cables from Aliexpress or Amazon or Temu. You may damage your expensive tablet. With a $5 cable, it's not worth it. You can definitely cheap out on the power rating, just buy 60-watt cable, but don't cheap out on the brand. One more thing, this is probably a bug related to Android 14 and also Android 15, as even my Sony Xperia had this exact problem. When you connect the tablet to a USB-A charger, it may not begin charging. If you connect it to a computer, it may not engage the communication and not recognize the computer. What fixes this for me and more my Android 14 or 15 devices is enabling the developer settings in the menu. You open the settings, you need to become a developer settings, and here you enable the USB debugging. As I have enabled the USB debugging on, the USB-A charging and the communication with PC has miraculously started working for me. And it was with more devices, not just this one. And lastly, the USB on the go, or OTG. This is a very old technology dating back to 2005 or so, when first phones and pocket PCs, which were actually real smartphones back then, were able to read USB sticks through an adapter. Similar to this one. This OTG functionality has begun on the first not so dumb phones or the first smartphones. Then they passed through Symbian and Windows mobile operating systems and has been available in Android devices. The OTG requires some hardware in your device, mainly the reverse charge ability, but personally I have never met a single Android device that wouldn't support OTG. Every single Android I have tried had supported on the go. The tablet, of course, supports on the go, so we can connect a mouse, a keyboard, network adapter, sound card or a flash drive. The obsolete FAT32 and better FAT64 file system, which is called exFAT, are two supported file systems, the only two. exFAT is most commonly used in SD cards and bigger flash drives. And how about hard disk? The tablet provides exactly 5.2 volts and is able to provide up to 2 amperes, which is enough for a typical 2.5-inch hard disk. Keep in mind that the hard disk needs to have its partition formatted in FAT32 or better in exFAT, as most Android devices cannot read NTFS file system. The 2 amps are the limit. If you would attempt to draw even slightly more, 2.1, the integrated power supply would shut down. This also means that you can reverse charge any device with power up to 10 watts. Shall your tablet be discharged and you would need to do some OTG stuff, this tablet also fully supports powered OTG adapter. So you connect your external charger to the adapter and the charger provides power to the hard disk or flash drive, and the unused power, the rest of it, is used to charge the tablet, although at a very, very slow pace. Camera is usually just a supplementary functionality, so you can take an emergency photo of something shall the urgent need arise and your mobile phone is somewhere out of your reach. Like if you would have to get up, or you would have to climb stairs to reach your phone, or climb a ladder, or you would have to leave the warmth of your cozy bed and blanket. Oh man, these situations absolutely call for the camera in your tablet. Main photo chip is Sony Exmor with 50 megapixels. The flash diode is bright enough, but who cares when we have this monstrosity here. Under the main camera lies thermal imaging camera from Thermoview. The resolution is the baseline of actually useful thermal cameras. I mean, I am an industrial electrician, I can assure you that 160 by 120 is enough for most troubleshooting or problem-solving jobs. The 25 FPS is much smoother than any FLIR thermal cameras, so it's more convenient. Shall you do some video calls? then the Samsung ISO cell with 32 megapixels is looking at your face. Let's run through the camera app. Here we have settings. It's in Czech. I may have as well set the language to English. Here we have sizes, so from 2 megapixels up to 12 megapixels. The 50 megapixel mode is available. It's here, and you can use zoom, but it's digital zoom. Okay. Then we have ISO, which is automatic, or you can set it to 100 and take some high quality photos. This is just regarding the controls. We have geotagging. I recommend not turning on the watermark because everyone hates it. And we can control the flash. If I switch to video, then I can turn on the flash. So we are using this weak, it has like 8 movements or so. This weak camera flash. But now you say, well, but it has this mighty and powerful flash, why not use this one? Well, yeah, it's hidden under this menu and you can turn it on here. And now we are using the good mighty camping light in all its power. Great. This is great. You can use the camping light and you can turn it on from the photo app, which is really great because you don't have to switch apps. Perfect. Then we have some countdown. We have grid on off, AI. Oh man, it's AI powered. Good. I must have that. AI, yeah, whatever. Now we have video. Video recording is done in 30 FPS, no more, which is, well, enough for most people, I guess, but not for me. I would prefer 60 FPS. The maximum resolution, it's not 2K, it's 2.5K at 50 megabits per second. This produces quite big video files, so this mode is for when you really want to catch everything possible in your video. Then there is standard Full HD, 1080p, and the bitrate is much smaller and actually standard 20 megabits per second, which is usual. And it provides video files less than half of the size, compromising the quality of course, mainly when there is more movements in the video or when you have more new elements coming in the scene. It's a standard phenomenon with this encoding. In the HD quality there is just 9 megabits per second, so it saves space. The only available video codec is H.264, which is easier to encode and decode but also less efficient compared to H.265. The selfie camera doesn't have the 2.5K available as it is limited to just 1080p. As you can see, just 1080p. But who cares? It's already big enough. Then there is this, a monochromatic mode, there is beauty mode. Seems like I am ugly. Oh, doesn't do anything. Yeah, now I am beautiful and now I am ugly as heck. Okay, that's for women. This tablet is made for men and it has some functionality for women. Yes, I'm just ugly. And now there is also some more modes hidden behind this menu. So we have slow motion, scanning, HDR, Pro, which is not exactly Pro, portrait and night. In the Pro mode you are quite limited to just ISO, EV compensation in -3 to +3 and some white balance in just few steps. It's stepped, so well, I like this one. Where do I set it to auto? Okay. It can be set to auto. Alright, doesn't matter. So, the Pro mode is just nothing more actually, because in any other modes, like the 50MP mode, you can set the fixed ISO to 100 and the EV is actually set via this. so the Pro mode really offers nothing more. But, well, at least you can take high-res photos with it, with fixed ISO, which is okay. That's a great functionality. If you are asking why I want to set the ISO to 100, just ask some photographers. We are not here to explain this. Now, let's see the camera. I recommend setting the video quality right here to 4K, and that even if you have a Full HD monitor, as the quality will increase because of compression. Because the camera is just supplementary extra function when it comes to tablets. I have only tested it shortly, and here is a photo in automatic. Here it is in manual. And here is a high-res photo with 50 megapixel. And now let's zoom on the photo. So from these photos we can tell that the automatic would work fine if the EV was like -1, and then the photos would be great. Let's test the video recording ability. The Etalon is from my Sony Xperia, so you would know exactly what does the scenery look like. And now for the tablet. Keep in mind that the tablet costs half the money of the Xperia, and tablets aren't really supposed to be photographic or videographic. So now, 2.5K without stabilization. Now 2.5K with stabilization. Now Full HD with stabilization. Now Full HD selfie. Now that we have come to the end of this chapter, I remind you to set the video playback quality back to Full HD or HD as you had it before to conserve some data or whatever you have. The thermal camera, it's a very useful feature, and it's actually one of the main reasons why I carry particularly my Ulefone PA90T as my EDC phone or everyday carry phone. Whenever I am in a low voltage distribution room in a factory as external company, I almost always perform some thermal imaging, and having a thermal camera by you all the time is a huge plus. Let's see my flare, and here are some photos. Come on. Here is a video, here is some capacitors, here is some chokes. Yeah, this is visible, this is invisible to human eye. So I really like the Ulefone PA19T. It's great to have thermal camera by you all the time. And this tablet also has a thermal camera. This tablet also has some advantages and also disadvantages compared to the 19T. The disadvantage is that you don't really carry a tablet everywhere, so availability is worse. But if you already have it by you, then great, cause it got much bigger screen. And you can troubleshoot more easily. The ThermoView app is definitely less refined compared to the FLIR app, and actually none of the icons there make sense to me. But the ThermoView actually has a smooth frame rate of 25 FPS. Look at this. Now it's calibrating, sorry. It's very smooth. Look what I'm doing with my hand. Look at this, it's very smooth. Yeah, this is nice. It's much better than the GIF that FLIR provides us with. The 25 FPS is nowadays quite normal if you buy like HikMicro, if you buy Infiray or ThermoView. Let's see some photos from ThermoView. Let's talk to the outer world. The tablet, having Dimensity series chipset, has 5G radio. I actually used my second SIM card, which I have in this phone, and I use it in the tablet, and the 5G signal reception was fine, so there would be no problems with this. The tablet supports all the bands used in the Czech Republic, and if you would want to check your country's bands, then I would recommend a webpage called Kimovil. Kimovil, which is a perfect source for information about phones and tablets, and they actually correct some stuff if you reach to them, which is something even GSM Arena doesn't do. You have Kimovil link in the video description, so if you would be going in the description anyways, you will meet there amongst any other useful links. The tablet also supports the older 4G, which actually tends to work better in my country. What is a nice bonus is that the tablet also has full phone capabilities, so you can perform voice calls just like if it would be some sort of much oversized phone, but with stereo speakers. If you want to know where you are on the planet, then waiting for night to tell your position from stars may be too late, and I doubt that someone would actually be able to perform this nowadays, so that's why we have GPS. The tablet connects to the original GPS L1, then GLONASS, Galileo and Beidou. Unfortunately today, less and less phones and tablets support dual-band L1 plus L5 GPS satellites, and just L1 support is being more common. So it's not only MediaTek, but also Qualcomm has removed this, as my Xperia with Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 also supports just L1. While, for example, my old Asus with Snapdragon 855 would connect to both L1 and L5. Bluetooth is the 5th revision supporting low energy and some other things you can read here. It seems not to support LE audio. Wi-Fi 2.4 or 5 GHz is supported, and it lists B, A, G, N, A and AC. The 6 GHz Wi-Fi is unsupported, but hands up who has this at home. Me not. The NFC support may come handy sometimes, but the Google Pay ability, well, who pays with his tablet anyways? Have you ever paid in a store with your tablet using NFC? Me not. The last thing from the communication is the FM radio. And yes, even in the 2024/25, there is a new tablet with full implemented FM radio support, and it has two great features. Firstly, it doesn't need any 3.5mm jack, and it has its own antenna, so you can easily use it as standalone radio in your garage or workshop on worksite. Moreover, the radio finally supports RDS, so you can tell the name of the station and the song that's actually currently playing, so you don't need Shazam. And if that wouldn't be enough, you can record the radio as well in here. Start recording. So we can record just anything from the radio station, which we used to do with back then these double-deck cassettes and everything like that. So this functionality, well, that's what I call a proper implementation. Well, yeah, FM radio is quite obsolete and DAB Plus would be much better. But hey, FM still runs, and it will be running, and the support for that is implemented without a single missing feature. It's implemented completely. Now, because of YouTube, I cannot play any music here, so sorry. Let's jump onto other functions and accessories. When it comes to battery current, there is still some phones that don't report the current correctly, but fortunately, it's less and less of them. I remember the struggles with my Samsung Galaxy S3 that didn't measure battery current at all, and it was nuts. The Ulefone Power Armor 14 Pro also has some problems reporting battery current, as the update rate is very slow. The Power Armor 19T has it much better, and this tablet has it absolutely okay. So I would recommend installing the app called Accu Battery. I have bought the Pro version. I wanted to support the developer. This app is great for anything, literally anything battery related. You get your runtime estimates, calculated battery capacity, which is here in the health section. I have it in checks, sorry about that. This is the health section. It also has this charging alarm, so you can stop charging when the battery is at 85 or 90 or anything like that to conserve battery health. And I would appeal to Ulefone, or Uletab in this case, with this. Their phones have their batteries big enough for the ability to set the maximum charging percentage in the settings to prevent unnecessary battery wear. That's because most of the damage to the battery is done within the last 20% of charge. So the most damage to the battery is done between 80 to 100%. So technically speaking, cycling your battery between 30% to 80% would be absolute sweet spot. And this tablet is well capable of that with its above average battery capacity. So if in future in the settings you would, like in the battery section, you would have some switch to turn on the battery limit to 90% or to 85%, that would be really great. There is more sensory in this tablet. There is lux meter. It's present, but forget about measuring lux with it, as it reports much more. You take the lux and you multiply the value by times 0.015. Some apps actually allow you to set the constant, so here you have it. I figured the constant by using my spectrophotometer, which wasn't actually anywhere near cheap. So yeah, it's multiply by 0.015 and you are good. Compass is also present in here, and we have it here. Yeah, this is compass. Well, tablets don't really desperately need compass, but it's here. Okay, it counts. I have used my total station, which is a gizmo that almost everyone has at home. And this total station is accurate down to seconds of compass angle. And the error of Ulefone tablet is just approximately 10 degrees, which is actually nice. My sister's iPhone 15, that is like a year old, has error of 18 degrees, which is really bad. My Sony Xperia, that is expensive, it has error of between 3 to 5 degrees. And my Amazfit T-Rex watches, which I hate for just everything in them being bad, they have an error of 30 degrees. Well, that's useless watches. So, if you buy this tablet, you are gonna have much better compass than the more expensive iPhone. To be honest, I don't know why it's there. Maybe if you surfed on a submarine, like in the movie Periscope Down, when they tried the maximum depth. Well, they actually used a rope which they put between the sides of the submarine, and as they were going lower and lower, the rope was actually going down. So if they had like this tablet, they could tell the depth much better. So this may be better than a rope in a submarine. Yeah. First thing I would heavily recommend is to buy the charging docking station. It's a no-brainer. This adds so much convenience that Ulefone would better ship the tablet with this station automatically and by default. It's just the perfect accessory for this tablet. Second thing you must have is this rotary hand strap with the kickstand. It's a click-on system that allows free rotation on the tablet, so it may be landscape, it may be portrait. You are gonna be able to use your tablet on the go and actually very comfortably, as I had it on my hand for some tens of minutes and my hand was just fine. Third thing Ulefone has sent me is the Armor Holster Pro. It's a leather-like case with hand strap that is rather emergency use hand strap. Let me click it. Yeah, come on. This hand strap, well, is just as comfortable as the supplied one, so I wouldn't recommend using that. This is my natural position of my arm. So, well, using it, oh my, no, like this, well, ow. So I wouldn't recommend using this one. Then there is this kickstand, which can be extended, and the tablet can actually be used on the kickstand. Very fine, but please keep in mind not to tap on the screen heavily, as the tablet will fall. So just swiping, no clicking. There is also this handle. And finally, there is shoulder strap. So if you operate a drone around a worksite, or if you inspect buildings, or just roam around a worksite with a project opened in PDF in the tablet, you can use the shoulder strap for this. There is also a click-on loudspeaker sound kit if you would use the tablet often as a worksite radio. And more available accessories is windscreen holder and all the U-Smart accessories like the endoscopes, which are compatible amongst all Ulefone products with the U-Smart connector. Using this big screen tablet as an endoscope screen is just great, just like using it as a microscope screen. Another thing I am the only one who tests, at least from what I know, is supported codecs. Why does it matter? Tablets are multimedia devices. May they like it or not, may they be rugged, may they serve in a workshop as a radio, may they do some thermal imaging in some distribution room. At the end of the day, when the job is over, the tablet may serve as a video playback device so that the exhausted worker can have some rest and entertainment in the evening watching some movie or anything like that. Even with all these industrial properties, it's still a tablet. And tablets just play movies and YouTube videos. They do that. In order to play videos smoothly and to not force decode the video through the processor, devices usually have something called hardware acceleration. It is a part of graphics card, or graphics unit in this case, where there is a handful of transistors by the side of the graphics chip, and these transistors are physically wired to decode or encode a video stream. If you would have an HD video, then decoding it with hardware would result in good battery life, as the transistors would take care of it all. The processor, it would be at 5%, the GPU may be also 5%, so the only thing draining the battery would be the display, that's all. But if the transistors wouldn't be able to handle the used video codec, now comes software decoding, and that is done by processor. And it's as raw as a steak. The processor then runs at high load and consumes significant power, resulting in device heating up and resulting in bad battery life. If you would attempt to software decode a bigger video, like Full HD or 4K, the processor wouldn't be able to keep up, and it would be too slow for this extreme load, and the video playback would be lagging. So the fact that you play like Full HD videos on your computer or 4K videos on your computer and phone, this is solely the credit of the hardware acceleration in your computer or in your phone. It's solely because of the handful of transistors by the side of the graphics processor unit. For testing these supported video codecs supported by this device, I have made a folder with 38 video files, testing video files. These are all the same but encoded in different codecs, then different resolutions, different frame rates, and even different color depths. This folder takes approximately 8.5 gigabytes. So let's begin with one of the oldest codecs, the MPEG-2. MPEG-2 is so old that it's no longer used almost anywhere. It was the MOV files you would download through FireWire of your VGA camera back in 2004. Yeah, that was usually MPEG-2. The Ulefone tablet doesn't have hardware support for this codec, which is to be expected. It's 20 years old. It's no longer used, but if you would find such an old video file, you can still play it back, as the MPEG-2 is so primitive codec that even some old Pentium 3 PCs can play it by software. So this tablet handles with software decoding using the raw processor power, and it runs smooth and well. MPEG-4 is slightly newer, but as well not used anymore. And now MPEG-4 is, for the contrast, supported by the tablet's hardware. H.264 or AVC is a widely used codec. YouTube, for example, uses this codec when it detects that your device is very old, and I'm not exaggerating, it's an old codec, but it has gone through some evolution. There is 3 steps, they reflect in profiles. The baseline is the oldest and simplest and most primitive, and it is supported by all the handheld gaming consoles, by an old iPod or your Nokia phone. Then there is main and high. The high is commonly used even today, as it has some nice compression features, but the oldest devices usually cannot play it back. And this applies to even some televisions. So naturally, I was using H.264 AVC in high profile. This is the codec used by YouTube in some occasions, and also by most camera apps in most phones or tablets, including this tablet in question. Maximum 2.5K resolution, but films are usually in Full HD, which this is also going to play back, as Full HD is somehow lower resolution than 2.5K. So you can enjoy all your Full HD movies without any problems. 4K, that would be a problem, but who would want to play 4K movie on 2.5K displays anyways? H.265 HEVC is a modern successor to H.264 AVC, and it has like 30% better compression efficiency, and personally I use H.265 almost everywhere, mainly for video and movie storage, as the codec is modern, efficient, and widely supported. The situation is the same, maximum Full HD or 2.5K. In this case, it's maximum 60 FPS. VP8 is an older video codec used in some older web pages, and it's also one of the earliest streaming codecs. It's an open source, so it's free, and the tablet handles only Full HD at 30 FPS. But as it is quite easy and simple to decode, you can as well play back 4K 30 FPS video file, but using the raw processing power, and it would play just fine. VP9, the successor, is commonly used in YouTube and other online platforms, and while it's true that it's being replaced by the successor AV1, the VP9 is still available in all video files on YouTube. The compression ratio is similar to H.264, and the tablet supports Full HD at 60 FPS just fine, but you can use software to decode and playback 4K 30 FPS video in an emergency. And the last codec, AV1, which is the newest, and YouTube has already begun offering this codec. It has similar compression efficiency to 265, but it's free and open source again. The tablet supports it just partly, and that would be Full HD 30 FPS, and it's actually scalable to 10-bit colors. But forget about anything more. Forget about 60 FPS, forget about 4K. So, in conclusion, the tablet can play back just any Full HD video file just fine. And if that would be in H.264, 265 or VP9, it supports 60 FPS as well. Therefore, you can play just any YouTube video in 1080p or 1440p, or just any downloaded movie up to Full HD. The battery life is really hard to measure, and there is no unified method of measuring it. Every single one of us uses his device differently. Therefore, if I would claim that my tablet lasts between 2 to 4 days and I cycle between 30 to 85%, this wouldn't mean much to you. But there is still something exact that we can measure and that would tell us something important we can catch on to. So I have made up several scenarios and measured the battery level after 4 to 8 hours of doing such a scenario. This test was surely time demanding, but I wanted to give you as much info as possible for you to know what you need. When watching YouTube video, then if you have a good signal, the Wi-Fi consumption and data consumption is actually the same, which is great because I remember how battery heavy some 3G networks used to be. You can play back a video for an entire day from YouTube if the screen is at the minimum brightness. Or you can play it for 8 hours if the screen is at maximum brightness. When you leave a SIM card in your tablet and use it as a Wi-Fi router with chunky battery, the battery can last 3.5 days using your data sparingly and approximately 2.5 days using your data more eagerly. Recording a video, may it be using the original app which records only in a H.264, or using Open Camera or Ultracorder using H.265, the tablet records and lasts 5.5 hours. In all cases. Playback of an offline video stored in the internal memory or SD card that was tested on Lord of Rings Director's Cut in Full HD 30 FPS, and the tablet would last 3 days on minimum brightness and 9 hours on maximum brightness. So you can run through the entire trilogy on approximately 80% brightness if you would use Director's Cut. If it would be Full HD 60 FPS video you are playing, which I tested on one of my older videos I uploaded on YouTube, then we have 30 hours of playback at lowest brightness or 8 hours on maximum brightness, all with H.265 codec. Now benchmarks. This chapter is gonna be the shortest as there is some data you may just screenshot or download from my link and refer to it later, and that's all. Using benchmark results you can directly compare many devices side by side, and it would be quite objective comparison, for sure. All the data is of course measured by me, solely by me, and I was usually the first one who actually used this tablet model to run these benchmarks. So some of the benchmark apps were asking me about the new model they haven't ever seen. If you don't know what these numbers means, they are just some real-life performance for games for heavier workload like rendering graphs or plots, etc. This tablet is able to run all modern games, but some of the more demanding games would be requiring lowering your graphics quality to like medium or something like that. But you would be able to play just any game with this tablet, I think, for sure. And we have reached to the end of this video. I really hope that this review I have put much effort to would be a great use to you, and please use the gained knowledge to serve you best when choosing your new tablet. What I really like about Ulefone is the approach towards customers' well-being. There is many companies that produce phones and tablets, and they are all the same. The companies, they have slogans like think different, be different, taste the difference, never settle, innovation drives, etc., etc. And they sell their products like if it was something unique. But no, they are all the same. None of them have 3.5mm jack. None of them have an SD card slot. Some of them don't even have manual camera settings. Their batteries are as small as possible, and everything in the phones and tablet has to be adapted to the slimmest body in the market, which no one has ever asked for. One is same as another, and the only difference is the UI, when some phones run stock Android and some have some UI over it, like Samsung's UI that is more like a benchmark, or Xiaomi UI that wants to look like an iPhone so desperately that it sucks as just an iPhone. And for example, you as a user of Xiaomi phone, you never have the option how to delete app cache. No way. So if your app fills up the cache and stops working, you have to uninstall the app and install it once again. So I am really glad that between these hypocritical companies there is someone like Ulefone, and if we come to it, it's also Sony and 8849. But Ulefone is the topic of this video. So this company has 3.5mm jacks in all their products, including the cheap tablet I bought to my grandfather. About the micro SD slot, Ulefone has actually evolved. They no longer use the shared slots and prefer the solution that enables you to use 2 SIM cards and 1 SD card simultaneously in your device. And they also began supporting exFAT file systems, which is new. The older phones, they didn't support exFAT. They only supported FAT32. And this also applies not only to USB devices but also to SD cards. Moreover, you get a big and chunky battery everyone has asked for. Nobody wants a slim device that has like a capacitor instead of battery and you need to carry a power bank every time you go to a toilet to browse the internet. We want a 2-day battery at least. That's what we want, and Ulefone knows that. We want rugged devices so that when they fall, we just grab them, we do some dust, and we use them, and we continue on using them. There is no damage. We, technicians, we like to have a thermal camera and powerful torch, which Ulefone provides in some models, and to be honest, even the camera flash in PA19T is very powerful. And it's completely enough. So that's what we want. Battery, usability, and everything like that, and ruggedness. This Ulefone's approach towards practicality is very constant in time, which I put a great value on. They are even consistent with the U-Smart connector. Unfortunately, there is something that still persists in these phones and tablets. And that is quite bad automatic camera mode, which is constantly overexposed and can be easily fixed. But the videos, well, they could definitely be better, much better. Mainly the sound. But you wouldn't really record any YouTube videos on a tablet, would you? So that's it for this video. If interested, head into the video description and find there all the links provided. And until then, goodbye and see you in another video.